Have you ever experienced a sound so out of place, so unnerving, that it sent chills racing down your spine? Maybe it was a soft whisper in an empty room, or a sudden noise in the middle of the night. But have you ever heard laughter when there should be no one there? Tonight I'm going to tell you about a sound that drove people to the edge of madness, the sinister tale of the last laugh before midnight. Welcome to the Nightside Archive, where the shadows breathe secrets and the unknown is just a heartbeat away. Let's dive in. Our story takes us to the small town of Silver Pines, a place so tucked away in the wilderness that it felt forgotten by time. Picture gray skies, dense forests pressing against every corner of the town, and whispers of strange occurrences lingering in every conversation. Silver Pines had its fair share of legends, but none quite as chilling as the story of Laughing Jane. The earliest account dates back to 1953. A traveling salesman named Harold Greaves checked into the town's only inn, the Pinewick Lodge. He was an ordinary man, neatly pressed suit, briefcase filled with products, and a knack for telling jokes. The townsfolk remember him as a friendly, if slightly overzealous, character, but they also remember what happened the night he vanished. Guests at the lodge claim to have heard laughter echoing down the halls close to midnight. Not just an ordinary chuckle. This was a high-pitched, almost childlike laugh that seemed to bounce off the walls, growing louder and sharper. When Harold failed to come down for breakfast the next morning, the staff discovered his room empty, his suitcase untouched, and the window wide open. It was as if Harold had simply walked out into the void. Over the years, more strange disappearances occurred, each following the same unnerving pattern, laughter echoing through the silence of the night, always around midnight. In some cases, neighbors swore they saw shadowy figures loitering near the victims' homes in the hours leading up to their disappearance. A shadowy figure with an unnerving smile, some claimed. Of course, skeptics dismissed the sightings as hysteria. What kind of supernatural entity would rely on laughter, anyway? The most unsettling testimony came from a survivor, Claire Howards. It was 1978, and Claire was just a teenager living on the edge of town. Her parents had left for the week, and she was looking forward to a quiet evening alone. Sometime after 11:30 p.m., she heard the first giggle. It started faintly from somewhere outside. She brushed it off as kids fooling around, but it got louder, closer, bouncing eerily through the night. By midnight, the laugh wasn't outside anymore. It was inside. Claire locked herself in her bedroom, trembling as the sound of laughter crept down the hallway. Whatever it wasn't human. Later, her description of its silhouette, a figure with impossibly elongated limbs and a head tilted as if it were perpetually amused, sent shivers through the investigating authorities. No sign of forced entry was ever discovered, and to this day, Claire's story is regarded as one of the most credible accounts. But what does it all mean? Legends surrounding Laughing Jane expanded over decades. One theory claimed she was the ghost of a jester wrongfully executed centuries ago, her laugh becoming a curse to haunt the living. Another popular story suggested someone had summoned her, a reckless teenage prank during the height of occult fascination in the 70s, gone terribly wrong. Skeptics, of course, proposed more mundane theories. One debunker attempted to attribute the laughter to an unusual auditory phenomenon created by shifting winds in the forest valley. Pretty clever theory, except the laughter didn't stop with the right weather. Others pointed to psychological projection. Fear breeds hallucination, right? But can an entire town collectively hallucinate for over 7 decades? In the early 2000s, Laughing Jane seemed to vanish like a bad dream that had finally passed. The townsfolk of Silver Pines settled into routine life, clinging onto the hope that the mysterious laughter had ended for good. Then came the event that shook things up again. A group of college students posted about an abandoned building they explored just outside the town. The group claimed to hear laughter echoing within, growing louder as they approached a decrepit room in the attic. Inside the room were giggling toy clowns, old, damaged, but all seemingly alive. They left the toys behind, but uploaded the footage to the internet, which went viral briefly before the account disappeared entirely. Every member of this group, no trace of them was found after June of that year. Which brings us to recent events. A small investigation group, built from skeptics and paranormal enthusiasts, ventured into the Pinewick Lodge, now closed and decaying. Their goal: prove, once and for all, that the stories were nothing more than folklore. They brought cameras, audio equipment, and nerves of steel, or so they thought. Upon reviewing their final footage, one clip stood out. The timestamp read 11:57 p.m. They were in the old ballroom, laughing off nerves and drinking coffee. For a split second, the camera caught a reflection in the cracked ballroom mirror, a wide grin floating behind them. The person holding the camera laughed nervously, claiming they were just seeing things. But everyone froze when they heard it, a high, childlike giggle. Equipment failed simultaneously, lights flickered, and then nothing but eerie silence. The footage ends without explanation. None of them completed their final report. None of them ever returned. Is Silver Pines cursed? Is Laughing Jane a restless spirit? Or something entirely different? Paranormal investigators argue about the supposed patterns or lack thereof. The one thing they couldn't argue was how disturbingly unnatural the laugh from Jane's recordings felt, as if she was laughing at you. As more people listen to clips online today, witnesses describe the same sensation: cold dread, hairs standing on edge, as though you're being watched. Now here's the question I leave for you. What would you do at the stroke of midnight if you heard a shadow breathing laughter in the next room? Would you go investigate, or hope and pray that laughter doesn't come any closer? Stay safe, Night Archive explorers, and until next time, avoid the shadows and the sound of laughter when you're all alone. Farewell.